excited about this one. We got Micheal Flowkes and Pete Grosbeck with us today, talking the history of sport fishing and episode 5. And Micheal, can you kind of describe to us episode 5, Pushing the Limit?
No.
Okay. Well, Pete and I were watching it a little bit before you got on here. It's kind of spectacular how you can see the old tackle blended in with the tackle of today and kind of see how it all came around, and see, like, you do a thing where you're on this guy with the modern fishing rod and it breaks, and then you go straight to Zane Gray and his rod. And we're going through the same kind of stuff, right, Pete?
Yeah.
We're kind of going through the same thing.
Excellent. Same thing.
So I think this is going to be really exciting. Let's get going with the show, and then we'll stop in a little bit and we'll talk about it, right, Micheal?
Yes, sir. And if you guys watching have any questions, just fire them away, man. We'll stop and try to answer them as best we can. We got one of the greatest marlin fishermen on the West Coast sitting up here in the right-hand corner. There's nobody. He and Steve are the two, hands down, best in the business.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, they are. Everybody quit fishing tournaments up here because nobody can beat them.
So as this episode, chapter 5 starts up, what, Pete?
They try to kick us out of
I heard about that. These guys are professionals. We can't compete against them. Let's kick them out. Yeah, because they're too damn good. Well, did they let? Never mind.
Here we go. It starts out on Pete's boat right here, Micheal.
I know.
In sports, even small changes in equipment can mean vast improvements in performance. Advances that began in the mid-20th century continued to define America as a leader in sport fishing worldwide. Creative minds transformed what was once a simple act of subsistence into an art form. They used their passion and ingenuity to drive the sport forward. They learned from their triumphs and mistakes, creating new gear and building new companies to share their discoveries with the world. This is the history of sport fishing. Chapter 5, Pushing the Limits.
I'm gonna make sure.
Look at him. Oh! I did break the harness.
I'll get you another plate.
Here, right here. Yeah.
Fish of this size and power will make you pay for every mistake, and they will find the weakest link in your arsenal and exploit it.
He is hot.
With the drag in full, Skinny Search bears down with everything he has, applying even more pressure with his free hand, and while off camera, snaps the rod in half, just like Zane Gray and Captain Micheal had to do almost 100 years ago in Tahiti on that first 1,000-pound marlin. Kenny and Captain Norton have to do the same thing here and splice a new rod and reel onto the fish while holding onto the line with their hands.
Broke the rod. Guys pulled the line in, got some on the deck, grabbed another rod, spliced it on.
Okay, guys.
Never seen anything like this. We gotta hold it. Swivel's coming up.
In 2019, Japanese businessman Kiyoshi Kimura paid $3.1 million for a single bluefin tuna close to the size of this one being released.
Yeah, baby! Oh my God! We gotta go home now. We broke everything. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
The 20th century saw seemingly endless innovations in everything from terminal tackle to rods, reels, lines, and electronics.
We're charting fish right here, look.
Boy, I guess we are. Look at them down there.
And you got fish all along here. Look at this big school of shad. Now that's bait fish, the real dark spot.
Feeding on.
Technology today offers once unimagined advances in boat design, construction, power plants, communications, sophisticated side and forward scanning sonar, thermal.
So, Pete, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
He's on the phone.
Imaging, and much more. Fishing is a sport like no other. History has shown us that fishermen have always been both creative and highly resourceful when it comes to the pastime they love. Their countless innovations, like this unique way of presenting a bait, have advanced the sport in ways no one could have ever imagined. Determined men and women have taken its humble beginnings, using rudimentary wooden rods and linen line, and built big game fishing into a high-tech, worldwide phenomenon. The evolution of tackle and fishing platforms, the innovative use of kites, spotter planes, and other advancements in the sport meant anglers had advantages never before imagined. With these advances and the greater catch success rates they brought, came a new awareness that fishermen had to be more.
Hey, Pete, is that like the skiff that you went out first time fishing marlin on?
It's bigger than that.
Careful.
It wasn't bigger than that?
Michael, who?
That's insane.
Who is that?
I don't know who it is, Pete, but my friend Tom Rogers built a boat just like that in his front yard. It was off a kit from up in Seattle, I think. He bought the plans for like $5, and there was only 2 of them built down here. One in Laguna, and Tom built one. And,
My dad used to fish flying fish in those knuckleheads and stuff in the 50s. Out of San Diego.
Yep.
So all we used to use at the beginning was flying fish.
that was it. Flying fish and knuckleheads. Those were the baits of choice in the 50s.
Yep.
And that's all down in Point Loma. I mean, they're just right outside the breakwater.
Oh, it was out. They caught them just about number 3. South side number 3 buoy in the drop off. Skipping flying.
We can barely hear you, Pete.
I can barely hear you.
This is weird. All right, well, let's watch some more of this.
The spirit of the battle and the value of his adversary. Only by being good stewards of our resources can we ensure that generations to come may one day share in the grandeur of what we have been privileged to experience. There is really no better way to do this than going one-on-one from a small boat, like these gentlemen are doing here, having launched their homemade wooden skiff in San Diego Bay and heading out to work the nearshore coastal waters off Point Loma for marlin.
What was that?
Dave,
Yeah.
flag you put up for?
I can't hear you, Pete.
You saw where he hoisted that flag?
Yep.
That those you hoisted a red flag up. Other boats around you know you're hooked up.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Oh, so they wouldn't run over your line?
Yep.
I understand.
Yep. That's a red hookup flag.
Unbelievable. All right.
following World War II, as the sport grew by leaps and bounds all across the country, in both fresh and salt waters, operators, guides, and anglers alike were all pushing the limits of not only their tackle, boats, and equipment, but the destinations they ventured forth to fish as well. Men like Bill Poole were pushing the limits of their vessels, running multi-day, long-range trips out of San Diego to historical spots like Guadalupe, Cedros, Roca Partida, Mag Bay, and eventually all the way down and out to the Revejajeros Islands, Hurricane Bank, and Clipperton Island. Primitive by today's standards, the first long-range boats had no air conditioning, nor the ability to make fresh water, making for hot bunk rooms and cold saltwater showers. No refrigerated fish holes, only ice. And no real navigational equipment or communications. They navigated with sextants and the lost art of dead reckoning. Talk about being on your own out there. Back in the day, only the best of the best were willing, capable, and had the knowledge and experience to run long-range trips. But as their experience grew, so did understanding what their boats needed to be capable of doing. And with Bill Poole, Todd Chafee, and Bruce Barnes leading the way, the San Diego-based fleet continued to grow into the finest fleet of sport boats operating anywhere in the world, as long-range fishing became known as the ultimate challenge. Today's San Diego-based long-range boats carry up to 20,000 gallons of fuel, delivering over a 5,000-mile range with trips lasting up to 23 days. In southern waters, a wide open Dorado bite like this can quickly transform as wahoo and tuna move in under the boat.
A man can fish for a lifetime and never know the raw power and spirit of these magnificent fish. However, for the few who choose to accept this challenge, the moments of sweat and pain and joy will be indelibly etched in their memories. Exhaustion gives way to ecstasy.
There are moments in history when events and conditions seem to align perfectly to create an opportunity for historic changes. When they happen, these moments are often seized by forward-thinking men and women who are destined to lead the way for others. In the world of sport fishing, the captains and crews on the water know better than anyone that even small changes in gear can mean vast changes in performance. This was especially true during the sport fishing boom of the 1930s through the 1960s, when a number of such innovative individuals pushed the limits and led millions of new anglers onto the water. As the popularity of the sport continued to grow, the demand for more efficient and better performing fishing platforms increased as well. On the West Coast, the Fellows and Stewart Shipyard was founded in 1886 by Joe Fellows, Victor Stewart, and naval architect Joseph Pugh. In 1917, they built and launched what is considered by historians to be the first genuine big game sport fishing yacht, custom built for Jimmy Jump, who at the time was president of the Avalon Tuna Club. Christened the Ranger, this classic 46-foot oak-planked wooden boat is still seaworthy and in service today, operated by the Santa Barbara Maritime Museum. In her day, 26 Tuna Club trophy-winning fish were captured off the Ranger, including 2 club records that still stand today for the largest tuna and the largest billfish ever taken on light tackle. Humphrey Bogart, Rudolph Valentino, Stan Laurel, Errol Flynn, and John Wayne all fished from the Ranger. And even Kevin Costner has used her for photo shoots. In 1919, in the small seaside town of West Palm Beach, Florida, John "Pop" Rybovich started a small commercial boat repair yard. Word of his skills and his attention to detail spread, and his reputation quickly grew among local fishermen. In the coming decades, Rybovich, along with his 3 sons, Johnny, Tommy, and Emil, became the center for a new industry, converting commercial power cruisers into more user-friendly sport fishing boats. One by one, they would modify and add custom gear to existing boats that would give fishermen better performance and offshore capabilities.
So, Pete, did you ever rebuild any boats?
Yeah.
More than
You
one.
work-
We build any.
You work with the Ryboviches?
A few. What?
Did you work with any of the Ryboviches boats?
No. They're all East Coast. There was a
They
few
didn't
of them
make it
here.
out here on the West.
I think Ken Astor had one. Ken Astor has some swordfish. But there aren't that many, not that many here.
They even customized Ernest Hemingway's classic 38-foot wheeler, the Pilar, into a fishing machine that he would use, creating stories that would become legendary in the world of sport fishing. When the U.S. entered World War II in 1941, all 3 brothers were called up for service. After their safe return, the family began pursuing the idea of building a boat from the ground up that was dedicated exclusively to sport fishing. Tommy was their chief designer and builder. His talent, combined with Johnny and Emil's mechanical skills acquired during their military service, put them at the forefront of the industry. They came up with innovative ways to use evolving materials like aluminum alloys and figured out ways to use advanced adhesive processes that they'd learned in the military to plan the most advanced fishing platform ever seen. Old limitations on speed and maneuverability began to fall by the wayside as they changed old hull designs and profiles into sleeker, more aerodynamic lines. Their now trademarked flared bows and raised foredecks help cut through offshore waters and maximize cabin and deck space. The use of a flybridge with fully integrated controls greatly improved maneuverability and piloting while underway or fighting a fish. They were among the first to incorporate tuna towers as standard equipment on their platforms, as well as the first to include a built-in transom tuna door. In 1947, their many innovative ideas became a reality when they introduced the first custom-built sport fishing boat, the Miss Chevy II, which was produced at a cost of $30,000. Today, their top-of-the-line premier 60-foot sport boat will set you back closer to $5 million. The Miss Chevy II brought well-deserved fame to Rybovich, and their reputation for excellence spread worldwide. Sadly, their success story was derailed for a time in the early 1970s when their founder, John "Pop" Rybovich, passed away suddenly, followed just 2 years later by his son Tommy, who succumbed to cancer. The loss of their visionary founder and their chief boat designer and builder, Tommy, were just too much for the remaining brothers to sustain. And in 1975, they were forced to sell the business. The new owners did not have the same devotion to painstaking handcrafting, and the brand suffered for it. But that was not to be the end of this American success story. In 1984, Micheal Rybovich, Pop's grandson, would lead the new company along with his father, Micheal, his brother, Marty Evans, and family friend, Ed Bussey, to start a new family boat-building company called Rybovich International, with the goal of continuing to innovate the world of sport fishing and build a better boat. But that was not to be. Following the second sale of the original family business in 1986, a lawsuit forced Rybovich International to abandon their name, as well as the Rybovich signature broken shear and double handrail designs. By the early 2000s, the original company saw its fourth owner in just over 2 decades. In 2005, after the legal setbacks, Micheal briefly rejoined the current owners, and Rybovich was once again building Rybovich boats under the Rybovich name. But the economic crash of 2008 brought orders to a standstill, and the company was lost. A man of extraordinary determination, in 2011, Micheal came full circle with his fight for the right to once again build boats under the family name. When he opened Micheal Rybovich & Sons Custom Boat Works, just a few miles from their original location, he has now proudly restored their family standards of excellence, working side by side with his sons, Dusty Rybovich and Alex Gill. Way back in the 1960s, Tommy Rybovich perfected a cold molding construction process that remains in use today. Their old world hand craftsmanship and in-house attention to details are once again hallmarks of the Rybovich name. Today, under the leadership of Micheal's son Dusty, a highly skilled naval architect and marine engineer, their innovative designs are now augmented by state-of-the-art performance-based computer engineering designs and other technology that promises to keep them at the forefront of sport fishing boat manufacturing for the foreseeable future. In 2023, during an interview with Micheal Rybovich, he commented that none of their innovations over the years had been patented by the company. He said that when his grandfather, Pops, had started the company, they regularly shared ideas and processes with others in the industry, including their closest rival, Merritt Boats, whose yard was located just a few miles down the Florida waterfront. Micheal said that back in the 1950s, Buddy Merritt and his crew would drop by with their tape measures, notepads, and a camera from time to time, and that was okay with Pops because the Rybovich philosophy has always been to do whatever is best for the sport and for their industry. He said that they believe that when one succeeds, all can succeed. A remarkable business model, to be sure, and one that has served his family and sport fishing well for over a century. Captain Bill Fagan was one of the early pioneers of big game fishing in South Florida and the Bahamas. In the 1920s, he and his compadres at Miami's Pier 5 began making history by developing and refining drop-back techniques, spreader outriggers, and strip baits. Fagan was instrumental in establishing Florida and the Bahamas as 2 of the world's most popular fishing destinations. In the 1940s, Captain Fagan's extensive knowledge of fish and their habitats led him to be invited by Yale University to participate in scientific studies in New Zealand, Africa, and South America that provided vast data used to aid in fisheries management. Captain Bill Hatch, a successful Iowa businessman, never even saw the ocean until he was 30 years old. Prone to severe seasickness, he was as unlikely a big game fishing pioneer as there ever was. But when visiting Miami around the turn of the century, he became fascinated with sailfish. After years of outfishing everyone in the area, in 1950, he finally unveiled the secret to his success in consistent captures, introducing the world to the drop-back techniques he'd perfected, which over the last 100 years still remain an essential part of the sport. Harlan W. Major was a superb tackle technician and a gifted individual whose mechanical skills following World War I led him to doing reel repairs, which evolved into building rods, lures, and kites, and started what became one of the largest tackle shops in Southern California. Fishing with Captain Tommy Gifford, he landed one of the first Atlantic sailfish ever taken on 3/6 tackle in Florida. In 1929, he headed east, armed with techniques, and introduced kite fishing to the East Coast.
You'll hear different stories about it and where it was developed first, the most common being on the East Coast. The fact of the matter is that it was not. It was developed on the West Coast. This is verified by the man who is given most of the credit for developing it on the East Coast, Tommy Gifford, in his 1960 publication, Anglers and Muscleheads, where he gives testimony that Harlan Major brought it out, and together they tried kite fishing some 30 years prior to the publication. Harlan Major, in his 1939 publication of Saltwater Fishing Tackle, acknowledges that the Tuna Club and the boatmen of Avalon used the kite successfully as early as 1912. But the kite was made public and known to all by 1911. It's a fascinating story with that. A boatman by the name of George Farnsworth, who was already Avalon's most successful boatman, in an environment that you would have to understand was very competitive. Here we were at the turn of the century, 1898, the first large tuna on rod and reel had been caught by Charles Frederick Holder. Men came from all over the world to try this new sport of big game fishing. What they found was a very well-equipped and eager group of men, professional in every way, who had boats and the finest tackle of the day available. And, of course, the success of their patrons meant more work for them. But George Farnsworth, about 1910, developed a very innovative concept with his kite. He kept it a secret, and he swore all of his passengers to secrecy. And again, he launched into a series of very successful captures, and the secrecy that his patrons were sworn to held for 2 years at least. 1911, though, the word was out, and at that time he publicly acknowledged that that was his secret, and in fact went so far as to tow a kite through Avalon Bay on the 4th of July.
Harlan believed everyone should have an opportunity to fish, and he convinced Long Island railroad executives and party boat owners alike that special weekend trains running from Penn Station to Montauk would make money. During the summer of 1933, 4 trains carried excited city folks to the outstanding fishing at the tip of Long Island. The following summer, more than 35,000 anglers were transported by these fishing specials, which operated for more than 20 years. He was also responsible for the development of the first fighting chairs, which became the prototypes for the modern fighting chair. In 1939, his book, Saltwater Fishing Tackle, was published with the comprehensive history of the development of fishing tackle and equipment, detailing technical aspects of tackle design, construction, repair, and use. It remains a classic reference today. With the onslaught of World War II, the basement of Major's New York City home became a clearinghouse for huge amounts of used line, tackle, and equipment. Simultaneously, Michael Lerner, Kip Farrington, the IGFA, and the Red Cross were assembling survival fishing kits, which included hand lines, lures, spear points, sinkers, and hooks, wrapped in wooden H-frames and they began an extensive campaign to ship free tackle overseas to our troops. More than 200,000 survival fishing kits were assembled and shipped to servicemen worldwide with gear to catch fish. Saltwater fish can be eaten raw and provide not only high protein, but in cases of survival at sea, life-saving fluids. A scientist, technician, and mechanic, Harlan devoted his life to showing anglers that their luck could be improved with study, adaptation, and modification.
So we're going to stop for a second. Pete, I don't know where Pete went, but you got Michael and I still here. Bob Huth was supposed to join us. Brent, he did not, but he is going to be at the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival, and he will be doing prescription lenses there. Oh, Pete's back. Thank goodness. All right. There he is. Can you hear us? Pete? Pete? Yeah, it's got a weird fuzz in your phone, or your computer. Can you hear us?
Can't hear you, Pete.
Hear me?
No.
No, it's really bad. Maybe try your telephone. I don't know what's going on with your computer, but it sounds terrible.
During this period in sport fishing, a pattern was developing of major milestones within the sport, springing forth from simple ideas from the men and women who were on the water day in and day out. Men like engineer Julio Sanchez, who was born in Cuba in 1899. Julio immigrated to Miami with his family and would become a primary field tester for Tycoon rods. He proposed
nice.
Several innovations.
All right, now, Pete.
How about now?
Oh,
Now we hear you perfect.
There we go.
Oh, the computer didn't like it.
No, so what do you think of these innovations, Peter? You talk more, you know more about this stuff than Michael and I know.
Like which ones?
All the innovations. You were kind of on the cutting edge of the stuff that happened in 70s and 80s, but this stuff that was happening in the 1900s, that was pretty incredible, huh?
Well, what's really incredible, and Michael hit on it, that you think that all the kite fishing was developed on the East Coast, and it wasn't. It's developed right outside Newport Beach.
Right off Catalina.
And Catalina. And the techniques they used back then, especially, but what gets me is that in the late 1800s, they were catching bluefin tuna on that gear.
I know.
And you know how hard it is to catch a bluefin on the gear we have now. Right?
Yeah, 2-speed reels and I can't even imagine.
I can't imagine them. I see all those videos and stuff, those guys standing there, and how they caught those things back then. And then also the swordfish too, I'm sure there's a lot more of them then, but still they're the same fish. They catch these big swordfish on linen.
On linen rod, and a wooden rod with no drag reels. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, they were using
it's unbelievable. Yeah, and then you got a single screw boat that's not very maneuverable,
Yeah,
so
and didn't have enough horsepower to even chase these fish down. So it was basically mano a mano. You bring the fish to the boat, or you don't.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah. And back to that skiff, skipping flying fish outside Point Loma. They did the same thing up there too. Flying fish.
Yep. That was the bait of choice.
Yep. I don't know if you remember one of the first lures that I think Seven Strand made. It was called a psychedelic, and it was a piece of lead with a skirt over it with those beads, those metal beads with a Siwash hook, and that was one of the first basically lures that they pulled out here. Anyway,
First marlin,
and
right? Those beads
yeah,
got toward the end of the skirts.
Seven Strand call it the psychedelic.
Yep.
I caught my first marlin on one of those in, what was it, 66, 65, 66? Something like that.
60 years ago. Jeez.
Yep.
So cool.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I love the fact that George Farnsworth worked with a guy named William Beauchene, and they were the ones that came up with the first star drag. So,
right.
And Beauchene, he worked with Farnsworth and then Cox up in LA to build the prototypes. And when they got it all done, William Beauchene said, I can't patent this because there were too many people involved. Too many people helped me make this reel, so I'm not going to claim the patent. And he never claimed the patent for the star drag. And as soon as it was out, without any patent, every other manufacturer in the business jumped on it and started using star drags. So it's kind of cool that the star drag and the kite both came off Avalon or out of Avalon.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier, Pete, on one of the other episodes that, we mentioned in this show that Dr. Charles Frederick Holder, actually there was Colonel Morehouse caught a big tuna in 1896. And then 2 years later in 1898, Dr. Holder caught his big 160-pound bluefin. And that's what really started off that just blew people's mind. Nobody can even imagine catching a 160-pound bluefin tuna on that old gear. And then a couple years later, the first marlin. And then about 10 years later, the first broadbill swordfish ever in the history of sport fishing, anywhere in the world. The first tuna, first marlin, and first broadbill were all captured off Catalina.
Yeah. Were they on those bluefin, were they using the kite?
Yeah, Farnsworth was the one that really put the kite. No, the first kite, the first bluefin that Morehouse and Dr. Holder caught were not using the kite. They were just straight lining it.
What were they using?
Just straight line.
Bait?
Skip baits?
Yep, skip baits. Straight line skip baits. And then and that's when Farnsworth came up with this innovative kite idea, because I guess even back in the day, those bluefin were a little line shy. So by getting that bait up on the kite, all they see was the bait. And today, 100 years later, 120 years later, it's still the most effective way to catch these big bluefin is a kite and a dead flying fish. Squid are real popular now too, but back in the day they didn't have a squid, so it was a dead flying fish on a kite.
Yeah, there's only flying fish back then.
Oh, Roger. I mean, Catalina made a reputation on those flying fish at night. They'd take the boats out with the big lights and let them all fly out, hit all the passengers in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Michael, we got one of our members is on here, and he's a taxidermist, and he's making up some bluefin tuna tails right now, real ones. And if they turn out, he wanted to know if he can donate one to Catalina or to you or to somebody.
I'd love to see him. I think the Tuna Club or myself, if you give it to me, I'll give it to the Tuna Club or whatever you want to do. Look at the room. I'm a fanatic about the old gear. I'm a fanatic about anything and everything that has to do with historical fishing.
Absolutely. Yeah, you know what, Pete and Mike, those guys on the East Coast, these young kids today, they would probably be super disappointed if they knew the true story, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, for years, like Pete said, for years, everybody believed that the kites came from the East Coast. And then Tommy Gifford in his books and Harlan in his book, they both quote, no, that was brought out from the West Coast, and it's all documented. It's in the newspapers and everything else. Farnsworth was the first man to invent a fishing kite. And he fished it for a couple of years prior to letting anybody know. It's like Mike Ferrier said, he swore his passengers to secrecy. And so nobody could talk about how he caught his fish. And he'd sneak out around the east end and head out toward the Farnsworth Bank, of course. How did it ever get named that? And he'd fish the kite and nobody'd see him. And for 2 years, he just dominated Avalon. And finally, like Michael said, on the 4th of July, he flew the kite through Avalon and let the world know that that's the technique he'd been using for the past 2 or 3 years in total secrecy.
Yeah.
And the fact that Michael Ferrier has that original Farnsworth kite that we showed, it's just, to me, it's, silk kite that's lasted 100+ years is amazing. I can't even get my modern kites to last a season.
Yeah, so many different kinds and colors and all, high wind, low wind, all this stuff. They just put up what they could.
Yeah. And single line too. They just ran it off a clip. So pretty amazing. And the clips were like basically clothespins.
Yeah.
So,
well, first things were clothespins. They were clothespins.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's watch some more of this.
Including the lengthening of rod butts for more leverage and increasing the thickness of reel spools when the synthetic lines began replacing linen. He designed first footrest for fighting chairs, as well as creating the first known fighting harness that was a precursor to the bucket seat. Along with Hemingway, he pioneered big game fishing in the Bahamas. He was a founding member of the Miami Beach Rod and Reel Club in 1930 and led the Cuban team to victory in the first ever Cat K tuna tournament in 1939. The story of Frank O'Brien Jr. and Tycoon Tackle is one of the key stories in the development of big game fishing. At the age of 6, Frank was fishing the Ohio River with a bent pin and a willow branch. In 1934, O'Brien opened Tycoon Tackle in Miami, determined to solve the problem of rods exploding under big fish. He studied the bows of champion archers, and he came up with a powerful 3-wood, vertically laminated 5-strip rod. One of his prototype rods landed a 601-pound broadbill off Nova Scotia, and Tycoon Tackle was born. During the Second World War, when all fishing tackle manufacturing was suspended by the government, the Tycoon factory was commissioned by the Navy to build parts and began running 3 shifts, 7 days a week, never missing a deadline or going over budget. In his day, Frank O'Brien was a designer, developer, and manufacturer of the finest fishing tackle in the world. In the 1940s, Tycoon rods were used for over 90% of all big game record catches. O'Brien personally encouraged catch and release practices by giving away Tycoon rods and tackle to anyone who released a fish at a tournament. He helped found Anglers Inc. to impart to the world the pleasures, recreation, and helpfulness of sport fishing. A true sportsman, he also helped pioneer the first tuna tagging program, promoting some of the earliest tagging release studies. He was also a remarkable ambassador, promoter, and visionary who loved and devoted his life to improving the sport. Roy Merritt's sons left school to run boats full-time when Alan was only 14 and Buddy 18. In 1948, Roy opened Merritt's Boat and Engine Works in Pompano Beach, Florida. The family's combined knowledge was vast, intuitive, and revolutionary. Years before the first tuna tower was ever built, Buddy had added a seat and rope controls to a sailboat mast, knowing the elevation would help him spot, bait, and maneuver the boat on fish. Alan Merritt solidified his reputation as an outstanding guide when fishing with Bill Carpenter and winning the 1951 Cat K tuna tournament. He then went on to win that prestigious event 8 more times. Taking his skills to Newfoundland, Canada, Alan caught 15 giant bluefin in one day. The following year, Buddy topped his brother, landing 16 giants. These catches remain 2 of the greatest days in angling history. Master Carpenters All, the Merritt family, and Merritt Boat Works was.
I can't even imagine catching 15, 16 giants on that year in a single day.
Just think of the volume that they had to go through. They, they didn't catch everyone they hooked.
Oh yeah, probably 2 to 3. I wouldn't even guess how many they lost. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm exhausted after catching an albacore.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm also 1 million years old, so yeah, it's pretty cool. That was an amazing couple of days.
Yep.
Did you guys ever get any of those tycoon rods or typhoon rods?
I think I've got a couple.
I didn't.
I never won a prize, but you dig them out of eBay and swap meets and garage sales, and you find them.
90% of the fishermen had those rods back then.
That was the rod.
You got what?
Rod, and Finor was the reel.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, the tycoon rods with the Finor reels.
Yep. And most of the rods, Dave, back in the day, they were like broomsticks.
Yeah.
They had no bend to them at all. It was like fishing with a broomstick. And so when they came up with the laminated vertical lamination, where they able to put some flex into the rods, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
And he did all that off the bows. He studied, like we talked about, he studied the top of the line bow and arrows, and not arrows so much as the bows, but how the bows worked. And he analyzed all that and was able to apply that to a fishing rod, which had never been done before. You fish with a wooden rod, you fish with a stick.
Yeah, a lot of guys fish with a stick.
Cubby's on here. Cubby says, hi, Pete. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Cub.
Hey, Cub.
All right. Let's check this out some more.
World. Following the general concept, inspired by Rybovich's Miss Chevy 2, the Merritt 37 was introduced in 1955. With its trademark unbroken shear line and ability to accelerate, reverse, cut, and turn at speed had no equal. It's considered to this day by many to be the perfect offshore fishing platform. From the 1920s through the 1960s, South Florida repeatedly showed themselves to be the perfect proving ground for every kind of innovation in tackle, boats, gear, and techniques. The availability of hundreds of year-round charter operations and a close proximity to Gulf Stream waters, teeming with fish, meant nearly unlimited opportunities for research and development. Establishment of the Miami Metropolitan Fishing Tournament in 1936 and the opening of the Everglades National Park in 1947 brought countless new anglers into the area and opened up thousands of square miles of new fishing grounds for them to explore. As a top Florida Keys guide, George Hommel Jr. was in a unique position to see it all unfold. George had grown up fly fishing in his home state of New York and moved to Isla Mirada in the Florida Keys after serving in the U.S. Navy and the Air Force during World War II. Fly fishing in salt water was in its infancy when he arrived, and Hommel took to it immediately. By the early 1950s, he was one of the top guides in the South. He set a high standard for professionalism and encouraged adherence to conservation principles to his clients and fellow guides. He fought for catch and release regulations for bonefish and tarpon and was the founding member of the Bonefish and Tarpon Trust Foundation. He worked for preservation of the Everglades habitat and received the IGFA Conservation Award and was inducted into the IGFA Hall of Fame for his leadership and responsible sport fishing practices. Renowned fly fisherman Lefty Cray called George the de facto leader in the Keys guides and one of the most innovative men on the water. Hommel's clients included baseball great Ted Williams, Playboy entrepreneur Hugh Hefner, and President H.W. Bush, who would fish with George almost exclusively over the next 3 decades. In 1967, he and friends Billy Pate and Carl Navarre founded Worldwide Sportsman, which would go on to become an iconic landmark in South Florida fishing culture. They also coined the phrase, sport fishing capital of the world, which became Isla Mirada's official motto. In 1955, Bass Pro founder Johnny Morris purchased Worldwide Sportsman. But in spite of failing health, Mr. Hommel still came into the store most days to share a lifetime of wisdom with his fellow anglers from around the world. By the 1950s, each of these innovators helped the sport reach a new pinnacle. New designs in rods, reels, and tackle helped push a rapid growth into remote regions of the world and to a whole new generation of fans.
Man has always been a hunter and fisherman. We don't depend on the wild for subsistence anymore, but the instinct is still with us. And every year, millions of American sportsmen take guns and rod and return to the wild in response to an ancient and timeless excitement. It might be said that the true sportsman is close to his own spirit, and all the noises of civilization haven't dulled his ear to the call of the forest, the field, or the water. And yet no one has greater love for the wilderness and its life than the sportsman, and no one treats nature with more respect than the men who are closest to her. Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a giant fish hook reaching into the Atlantic Ocean. Today, just outside Provincetown, with its miles of wild, windswept, lonely dunes, the editor of the Saltwater Sportsman, Frank Woolner, and yours truly go after striped bass. We'll head up and down the beaches, watching for diving birds, for slicks in the water, to hunt the fish wherever they may be. That's a 100-yard cast. Boy, you throw that thing a mile.
See him swell behind him.
Hey, I got one, Frank. They're strong, aren't they? Good one, good one.
I got one too. Beautiful. Now we got him coming right in close. A lot of dirt on the line.
Good fish, Frank.
Yeah.
There he comes.
Really? That's a nice fish. Good fish.
How's that for a double header, huh?
Beautiful.
An unforgettable moment. The U.S. hockey team beating the Russians, and the voice of Al Michaels tells it all.
Jim Craig, he's making too many good saves.
And of course, the U.S. team went on to win the gold medal, an impossible dream come true. Later in the same year, 4 members of that great team joined another crowd of Americans off Gloucester, Massachusetts. It's Labor Day weekend, and this time, the sport is big game fishing. If there were a gold medal of big game fish, this might be it.
Here we go.
Team Captain Eruzione has the first chance.
Take this one up here. Michael.
I got it.
All right. Got it. One. Don't pump so high. Brammer, this thing's unbelievable. Get Baker on the phone. Tell him I got a big one. Whoa.
Right up there, Jimmy.
That boy, Riz.
Good job, Riz.
Watch the chin. Use your back a little. Don't jerk it, Mike. Here we go.
For Mike Eruzione, the so-called old man of the U.S. hockey team, the strain begins to tell.
There he is. There he is.
There he is. I see him.
Whoa!
Michael.
Trying to gaff a large tuna like this one can make all the difference. With any one of a dozen ways to lose the fish, right up to the last moment. Or even if success calls for teamwork between the captain and the crew.
All right, come on, Mike, that's a boy.
Come on.
He's under the bomb! All right!
Take some more, Michael.
Fire under my arm.
Give me a hand. Now, pull it up.
Don't blow it, he's going down. No, he isn't. Stop it, he's right there.
Bend over, grab the fork.
I got him!
Got him! Gas!
It can't!
Get the other one in, Bobby. I got the other one in. I got the other one in. It's already scared.
It's scared.
Got me a little on.
I can't. You're on me.
Okay. Girl, there. Take it out of gear. Good job. Like that?
Mike has hauled in a bluefin tuna that turns out to be a whopping 830 pounds. Well deserving to be called a giant. In its own way, the feeling is like the one he experienced at the Olympics. That feeling of elation born out of persistence, and finally, utter exhaustion from having used every ounce of endurance.
Before we get into this part of the show, Pete, when did you first go down to Cabo?
February 1970.
There wasn't anything.
There wasn't anything there, was there?
No, it's, well, you know, that was before the hacienda was originally the El Camino Real, owned by the Rodriguez family, and then Bud Parr bought the El Camino Real and made the hacienda.
Yep.
And there was a hacienda, Hotel Cabo San Lucas, and Palmilla, and that was it.
And you know, it's interesting, Pete. There was 2 flights a week into Cabo on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, you flew from Tijuana to La Paz and jumped on a DC-3 and flew and landed behind the Hotel Cabo San Lucas.
Yep.
And there was in the middle of the runway, there was a big mound. So you'd land and the thing would hit that mound and jump up and come back down real hard. Same thing when you took off. It was crazy.
It was crazy. It was nuts. And what I remember the most is when we went to get on our flight to come home. It was after they built the airport. I mean, after they built the runway where it is now, but there was no buildings. There was nothing there. And a heavy set gentleman would show up and set up a coffee table and a sun umbrella. And that's where you checked in.
Well, there was but where the marina is now, behind the hacienda,
right?
Where the marina is now, there's a dirt strip for small airplanes that would fly in there. So they go down and fly from La Paz and land right behind the hotel.
Yep. It was amazing. It was beyond fishy in those days.
That was when, you know, you fueled at the
commercial
at the pier.
Yep.
And then there was a guy named Cheeto that had a hose coming out of the well that went down off the beach on a tire and a spigot, and you give him $10 and it gravity feed fresh water down, and that's the only fresh water you could get.
Isn't that amazing? And didn't you use cheesecloth and a funnel to help filter out all the particles in the fuel back then?
It wasn't too bad because, you know, the purse seiners went in there, but yeah, we did it anyway.
Yeah, I remember the cheese.
And then
a big funnel.
Yeah, the purse seiners would come in there, and you know, and that's when it was a working cannery. They offload and they'd make, you know, they'd process a tuna right there.
Yeah, it was amazing. So cool.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, I just wanted you guys to hear that because it's not Cabo like it is today. It's Newport Beach. It's pretty amazing down here right now.
We used to bring down flying fish for the hotel boats. You know, it's hard for them to get them.
Yeah.
So we bring down a bunch of flying fish, and then we also at that time started passing out lures. You know, so they were using both, and then they finally switched to lures.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, just, you know, he didn't go very far either.
You didn't have to go too far.
No, I never went past Falso.
Jeez, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just.
Well, the bay back in those days, Pete tells me some stories and Cubby tells me something. He came in way longer after Pete, but the stories he tells about the bay was just incredible.
Yeah, in the mornings at daylight, there'd be Gerardo and sailfish chasing ballyhoo and half beaks around, and you'd get in your skiff and and go hook a couple of those, catch a couple of Dorado, hook a couple of sailfish, and come back to the boat and go to work.
So cool. So cool.
Unreal.
Yep.
So you guys, now you're going to watch this part of this, and then we'll talk with Pete again because he's got a lot of history down here at the Cape. So check this out.
Along the West Coast, nothing did more to evoke excitement and stimulate one's imagination about doing battle with great fish than just hearing a single word, Baja. A 1,000-mile-long peninsula that jettisons south below the U.S.-Mexican border into virgin waters. This rugged, raw, virtually uninhabited, desolate strip of land was, in the 1950s, one of the last frontiers on the planet. The waters surrounding the Baja on both sides were teeming with sea life, the likes of which had never been seen before. From Point Loma south, all the way down the Pacific side, around the Cape at Cabo San Lucas, and up into the Sea of Cortez, the abundance and variety of sea life was unparalleled. Over 700 species of fish once called the Sea of Cortez their home. Kip Farrington wrote while describing the Baja in his 1953 book entitled Fishing the Pacific, "There is no place to stay at Cabo San Lucas, but there are plenty of fish. And if you can get down there, you can live on board."
You don't stop loving me. You don't stop kissing me. Oh, without your kisses, there's no life for me. No dejes de quererme. No dejes de mirarme. Que sin tus miradas ya no hay ilusión. Porque sin tu amor todo es tristeza en mi corazón. No dejes de quererme, no dejes de besarme, que yo sin tus besos no puedo vivir.
Mexico, and the Baja California Peninsula, nearly 1,000 air miles and several centuries removed from Hollywood, California. Isolated enough for Bing Crosby to fly down at the drop of a hook with some of the best striped marlin fishing in the world. Joe Brooks, American sportsman, fishing expert, joins Bing on his yacht, the True Love,
Hey, Joe. Hi, Bing. How are you?
Aboard the True Love. Here, let me take the rod.
Sure nice to be aboard, I'll tell you that.
We're glad to have you here at Las Cruces. You fished all over the world, haven't you?
Well, just about.
Australia, Norway, Patagonia, Terra del Fuego, New Zealand, Florida, Panama, and here you are, Las Cruces.
Well,
That's it. What do you think of it?
I think it's wonderful. It's a beautiful country, and it's certainly nice to be here.
Well, we got some fish here, too.
Well, I've heard that.
There it is out there. That's the Gulf of Lower California, or a lot of fishing enthusiasts call it the biggest bait tank in the world.
What's your best bait down here, Bing?
For marlin?
Yeah.
Well, about all we use, Joe, is the flying fish. But generally, a flying fish fished out of an outrigger and skipping along is pretty good.
Sure.
Here he comes.
Good.
Hey, now, there he comes.
Look at that jump. Roy, did he come out of there?
Like through here.
One shake of that tail and they gain about 20 feet.
Help it.
Look at him shake his hair.
Oh, he's bulldogging now.
You're getting line back now.
There we get a little.
Yeah, there's a wire showing.
There he is.
There, you look him down there.
See him?
Yeah, I see him.
Sees us too.
Yeah. Tip profile.
Adios, senor. We release all our fish down here, trying to follow this conservation program that the Woods Hole people have instigated, and I think it's a great thing because it'll keep this wonderful sport fishing available for generations.
Without any fanfare, Bing Crosby was helping lead the way for sport fishermen everywhere by practicing and promoting CPR, catch, photograph, and release, way before it became the norm. The early catch and release practices, started by small local clubs, combined with leadership from large organizations like the National Marine Fisheries Service, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the International Game Fish Association, and research from places like the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute led to a period of rapid advances in fish conservation in the mid-20th century. Advances in best practices certainly weren't the realm of large organizations alone. Individual anglers, guides, and captains themselves were often in the best position to see what was working and, more importantly, what was not. Their early observations, ideas, and innovations led to some of the most historically significant advances in sport fishing conservation.
The West Palm Beach Fishing Club is a very, very unique organization, and it's really a lot more than just a fishing club. It's a community asset. The club was founded in 1934 as a civic antidote to the Great Depression. The region was coming out of the Depression, and right across the street was the main charter boat fleet in the area. And Henry Flagler had been bringing down tourists from the Northeast for quite a while, and then the Depression came, and a lot of these small business operators that had charter boats across the street at the city marina were really struggling. And so city leaders got together and concocted an idea to create an organization that not only helped the struggling charter boat fleet, but provided a boost to the local economies. As the club grew, the elders of the club became increasingly aware that the resource was limited, specifically with sailfish, that you couldn't keep catching sailfish and putting them on the dock for show. And so the club initiated a lot of conservation and angling ethic practices that are still employed today and that are really a great legacy to the institution. First and foremost, it was the development of something we call the red release pennant. Rather than people bringing sailfish back to the dock, the club in the late 1930s developed a system where people could fly a little red flag and display how many sailfish they caught by the number of flags they flew off their halyards on the way in, and the sailfish would live to fight another day. And so That conservation legacy, which is still practiced today around the world, was one of the most significant contributions to conservation that this club has made through the years. So the club has a tremendous conservation legacy. In the 1960s, under the leadership of then President Johnny Rybovich, initiated the state's artificial reef program. And right off the shores of Palm Beach was the first officially permitted artificial reef in the state of Florida. And it laid the foundation for what today is a very, very successful county artificial reef and estuarine enhancement program, which we're still actively involved in.
Now, each reef dart weighs 8.5 tons, and most of that mass is here at the base, where the base actually provides the stability of the pole as it's oriented vertically in the water column. Reef darts can be used in a variety of ways. They can be used as breadcrumbs dropped in between two existing artificial reefs so that when divers do drift dives or fishermen are drifting along the edge, they have more reef complexity that they're fishing or diving on along their entire drift. One of the main intents of reef darts was to create deep water benthic habitat, high vertical profile habitat in really deep water. And so by adding additional marine habitat at those depths, we're providing almost a marine refuge for these species, helping them recover.
A big part of the West Palm Beach Fishing Club is cultivating the next generation of not just fishermen, but environmental stewards.
From Palm Beach to Avalon, fishing clubs and individuals were stepping up, making a difference. Men like Packy Offield were conducting studies that would change the way we fish. As his son Chase explains, through satellite tagging and scientific research, the post-release mortality rate of marlin captured using circle hooks versus J-hooks was astonishing, and that no one should ever fish sailfish or marlin again with J-hooks, especially when using drop back or live bait techniques.
I didn't realize early on the level of involvement my dad had in the conservation world and all the work that he was doing. It was not until later in life that I really started to understand how important the work that he was doing was, because he involved me at such a young age. So it just kind of naturally progressed, and I didn't really see that's not what everybody else was doing. Later on, when we started doing more with the satellite tagging in striped marlin around Mexico, and we started to get some of the tracks back and starting to see some of the data on where these fish went, which was stuff that nobody had ever seen before. He was pioneering the satellite stuff that nobody had ever done. It was the first time for this stuff. That really opened my eyes to the science aspects in fishing and conservation, and that really became our main focus for about 10 years, was traveling around and deploying satellite tags and different species of billfish and getting all this data that had never really been done before. And obviously the whole idea there is the scientists get this data and then they're able to base legislation to prevent overfishing in these areas. So that was really cool. One of the early studies that we did was trying to establish post-release mortality on billfish in circle hooks versus J-hooks. At the time, J-hooks were kind of the standard piece of equipment for capturing billfish, and what we realized was when you fish with J-hooks, especially with live bait, you wind up gut hooking a lot of these fish, and in the process of capturing them, even if you release the fish, if they've been gut hooked, the post-release mortality was pretty high. So my dad spent quite a bit of time in Mexico catching fish with circle hooks and with J-hooks, and then releasing the fish with satellite tags to see how the fish did, and it was overwhelming that the fish caught on circle hooks survived those encounters. So that really was the impetus to get guys to switch from J-hooks to circle hooks. We were able to show them tangible evidence saying, hey, this is black and white. These fish live when they're caught with circle hooks, and they die when they're caught with J hooks. And the hookup ratio is even better with circle hooks. So there was nothing for guys to really like fight there. And now everyone uses circle hooks.
And based on what I've seen for the last 25 fish, I know I, for one, will probably never fish with a J hook for a striped marlin again.
So that was the first study that was ever really done on that sort of thing. And looking back now, like the effect that that's had on the fishery and probably like the amount of fish that have survived because of that is huge.
Tal vez tú piensas que me tienes dominada, me quieres a tus pies. Yo sé que tú no ves que puedes ser tan desatento. Come on, escúchame.
¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besas tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besas tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo?
Dices que enloquecí, que fue de ti, eras perfecto. Come on, escúchame.
¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besas tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besas tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? ¿Sabes lo que digo? ¿Sabes lo que pido? 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 ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besar tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? Que besar tus labios. ¿Qué van a hacer que no digas tanto tengo yo? ¿Sabes lo que digo? ¿Sabes lo que pido? ¿Sabes lo que digo? ¿Sabes lo que pido? ¿Sabes lo que digo? ¿Sabes lo que pido? ¿Sabes lo que digo? ¿Sabes lo que pido?
Pete, back in the day, did you guys even fish for rooster fish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just at San Jose, mostly just slow trolling baits on the beach.
Okay.
And we figured out that, we go along the beach and you just go to the groups of pelicans that were sitting on the beach, because the roosters would chase the sardines up in the surf and the pelicans would get up and dive bomb on them. And they were done. They just would go back and land on the beach. So you'd fish, you try to find the spots the pelicans stand on the beach, and you just fish in front of them mostly. And that was, the only sign you ever had. But yeah, it was big ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're such a bitchin' fish. I love those things.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of that, Pete?
Great. Loved it. Good.
It's just amazing how he puts these films together. He's been doing it for so long. The history of sport fishing, we knew it was going to be something special, but we had no idea how absolutely awesome this is. It is so cool. I hope you all out there are enjoying watching this with Micheal and I and bringing in our special guest all the time. And I'm just telling you right now, we got IGFA Hall of Fame Captain Pete Grosbeck with us today. And if you guys have any questions, you want to know how it was in the old days, or you got any questions about tackle or anything, you guys ask your questions now. He's not going to be here much longer. You're taking off somewhere real soon, aren't you, Pete?
Yeah, we've got our 90 Viking that we had over in Canaries and the Azores and Madeira for 2 seasons, and we put it on a ship, sent it back to Florida, did a bunch of work on it, put it on a ship last week, and it's going to be down in Golfito, Costa Rica on the 7th, and I fly out on Thursday, and then we're doing our first trip's a week trip to Panama. And Penis Bay this last week, they set a record for the most marlin caught in a week in Penis.
Jeez.
This last week. So looking forward to that trip.
Yeah, no doubt. So jealous.
And gang, listen up. How old are you, Pete?
Do I have to tell you that?
What?
73.
Guys. Yeah. And he's still doing it with the most passion of anybody on the planet.
Yep.
Yeah, it's I'm lucky enough to be with somebody that I have a hard time keeping up with, and that's been like 10 and a half years with him. And he's just, right now we have 3 boats and we're building a 4th. So
you guys are doing some phenomenal video production too with Steve's son.
Yeah.
Incredible. Some of the best footage I've ever seen in my life.
Steve's David's doing a phenomenal job for Badco.
Yep.
Badco guys.
Yep. Really spectacular stuff. Just absolutely.
Well, as you know, Michael, is when Barry was shooting for you, when you fish for a living, you got an idea what you're looking at, right?
Exactly.
And the guys that have the fishing background have pretty good idea where to put the camera.
Yep, because they know they can watch what the fish is going to do, and they're anticipating that jump or whatever. It's just
exactly.
I've filmed with guys that are from really good photographers, but if they don't fish, they had no clue what they were trying to shoot.
No, it's an art, definitely. Especially shooting out in the water,
Yeah.
The conditions that they have, and it's pretty phenomenal.
And you can't script anything; it's all spontaneous. So you just got to be locked and loaded, and knowing what you're doing as a fisherman in order to be able to film this stuff that makes it worthwhile. But Dave and your crew, you guys are just doing beyond my imagination the quality of work you're putting out. Not even to mention how many amazing fish you've caught and continue. Yeah.
There's more out there. That Azores Madeira thing was kind of a bucket list, and the size of the marlin out there was just unbelievable. We never saw one under 500 pounds. 500 to 850. Catching those things off a 90-footer was kind of
unbelievable. It's so cool.
It was kind of cool.
Epic.
But yeah, we're looking forward to get back on the Pacific, and we spent some time down there in the 72, so we got a pretty good idea how it works, and we'll be able. This thing's more of a expedition boat than a lot more comfort and holds more fuel and bait and freezer space and everything. So
the older I get, the more I like the creature comforts.
Yes. Yeah, something you can get out of. But yeah, it's pretty. And then you got guys like Dave Hansen, who brings up a Freeman from Cabo, doing 60 knots.
Yes, 70 knots and gets up there in 36 hours.
That's a little bit different.
That 90 could get up there pretty quick too.
Yeah, I'm glad we had it in the Atlantic, because the Atlantic oceans can get gnarly. And it ate up pretty good. There's times we're looking at each other going, sure glad we're in a 90-footer.
Yep.
So we might wander out to Cocos, and then we're looking at maybe going out to Galapagos, and we have to fish off of some other small boats. Can't fish off our boat, but we got permits. We're getting permits to go anchor at an island, and then they come to us, and so we're putting that together. Meanwhile, the Anthony Shea, the Bad Company group, they've been doing so much satellite tagging that they went into, they had meetings and told them what they were doing, and donating some money to the Galapagos Foundation, wherever it is, and they're going to go out and fish for blues and put sonic tags in them. And I think in March, April.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a pretty big deal.
That's a huge deal, because that's all a protected environmental zone, isn't it?
Yeah, but they got no they have there's no record of, what goes through there. Where's that stuff go? And this is a pretty important to, especially out far off the beach is, are those fish just passing through that area, or do they stay there most of the year that nobody knows?
Yeah.
So
cool.
Satellite. Yeah. So that's the first really first time it's ever been done at that island. That's pretty important.
Oh, it's awesome. It's groundbreaking.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. It's very cool. You guys are state of the art, pushing the envelope as far as anybody's ever pushed it.
Yeah, it's Steve Lowsley and Anthony Shea have got that. They've really pushed the envelope on that one. Nobody can top what they're doing. Yeah. And it's good. It's good for the fishery. It's good for everybody. A lot of learning, and Anthony's made it real public, so people that don't know anything, and a bigger scale what they've done right here. It's amazing. Amazing footage they're getting too.
And he's giving back. He gives back so much. So many. Heroes.
Yeah, and then the war, and then as Dave knows, the Warriors on Water thing, and it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. He's just hats off to you, and Anthony, and Steve, and your whole team, Dave. I mean, just hats off to the work you're doing. It's inspiring to watch you guys.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
And Pete, we're going to end the show with this question from one of our viewers. Pete, what is the largest billfish you have ever caught?
Be involved with?
Yeah, be involved with.
Was a big black in Australia.
How big?
1150.
1150. My
but
God.
I've hooked I think a handful of those things, around Cabo, and just haven't caught any of them. For first couple were in the 80s, wrong tackle, and then couple I was when we were on the OP at Tahiti, we hooked one in Tahiti that was over 1,300 pounds on the right gear, a 3-speed Finor, with 130 on it, and Jim Jenks had it on for 40 minutes, straight up and down, and one head shake and pull the hooks.
That was it.
That's the biggest one I've ever seen.
They're massive. You can't even comprehend how big those fish are.
What's amazing is, as big as they are, how fast they can move.
Yep.
In a short period of time, it's amazing.
They're just
amazing creatures.
They're awesome. Just awesome.
Yeah, well, it's been pretty special to watch a film like Micheal made here, The History of Sport Fishing, and then with a true legend in the industry. There is not very many people that have done all the different things that Mr. Grosbeck has done. And I'm just lucky to call him my friend, because he's done some amazing things. And I just sat and listened to him. It's just absolutely amazing. When you get him off his telephone and get him to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes, it's amazing.
A lot of people don't know when I first went to work for the guy I worked for, and Dave was running that Wild and Sack. We did a couple of trips. We did a yellowtail trip and a tuna trip with my boss and his family. I think it was his sons, maybe.
Yeah.
And his sons and his brother-in-law, I believe.
Big.
And before we even got a boat, we fished a couple of trips with Dave, and Dave kind of helped my boss get hooked a little bit before we got a boat. So it was pretty cool. Very, very lucky man too.
Look what you started, Dave.
Well,
he's done a lot in a short period of time.
Oh, he has.
He's got a horseshoe. It's a pleasure to have him on our boat with us, because the guy has a horseshoe. I'll tell you what. He made me look really good with all of his luck. I'll tell you.
Yeah. That was amazing.
We were like third row, because all our bait died at Catalina, Micheal. We were third row on the yellowtail bite, and it didn't matter where we went. Where I went here, I went there, and I was just blown away. We just caught yellows everywhere. No sea lions, just yellows. Big ones too, 20-pound plus.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
And then the tuna bite.
The the first, we got the boat, the 66 we got in 2015 and got it out here in 1st September. And that's when that marlin bite was going on at Santa Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
so
2015, right?
Yeah, I ran up there. I took Barry with me and picked up Jimmy Kingsmill in Dana Point. We ran up picked up an Oxnard. And, the first day we had 8. He's, oh, this is kind of fun. It's like what the, and then we caught wahoo and we caught a blue that year. And then we did a bunch of work on it. We added, at the rail, West Coast rails and pulpit bait tanks and razor riggers and kind of stuff. And then went out in June of the 2016 fishing bluefin, and we found a swordfish at 6:15 in the morning. And boss comes up and asks, well, hey, what do we got? And he goes, we got a swordfish here. And he goes, oh, I never seen one. And so we go over there, throw a bait on it, and it bites, and he catches the thing in an hour and 45 minutes, and it was 3:49. And we threw it on the boat, and he goes, well, is that a good one? And Jimmy Kingsville put his arm around his back and said, Kevin, they're all good. This one's just a little bit better than most of them. But that's the kind of, we'd go do stuff that we went down to Guadalupe that year in December, and we catching tuna in December.
Yeah.
At Guadalupe. So everything, a lot of things he's done is just like like Dave said, he's got a horseshoe, and we'll take it for sure.
He's got a horseshoe, and he's got the best in the business with him.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's like Belichick had the best in the business throwing the ball for him for all those years.
Yeah.
So great coaching. He set the whole thing up to be successful. Anthony's done the same thing, and he's brought in the best in the business, at least on the West Coast that I know of. And with a team like you and Steve and Kingsmill, it doesn't get any better.
It was fun.
You can't put any better talent on a boat than the team that he's assembled. And
we're very fortunate for that.
Very blessed. Very
blessed. Anthony gave Steve the boat and said, get whoever you want.
Yep.
So we put the whole thing together. It's great.
Make it work.
Yep, pretty historic. Pretty cool stuff. All right, gang.
All right, guys.
Good night, everybody. Have a great day. I'm going to be with.
So much for joining us. Sorry, Dave. I just want to say, Pete, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I love this episode too. It brought back some memories too with the red flags and flying fish out of Point Loma, and it's all that stuff's good.
Early Cabo, yeah.
Yep, early Cabo.
Well, yeah, I saw that little skiff going out of Point Loma, and I was like, Pete, when you tell that story about your first marlin you ever caught and how everyone was looking for you and everything, I'm like, that is Pete right there.
It was on an 18-footer. It was not much bigger than that, but going out there, and that's when the first one I ever caught was in the mid-60s, and we were trolling 2 flying fish and one of those psychedelics down the middle, and that's what we caught it on. It was a psychedelic.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it deep? Did you that center one down deep, or was it?
No, it was just skipping 2 flying fish, and then this thing, it just ran straight and kind of popped once in a while.
Okay. How far behind the flying fish was it? Is what I meant.
No, it was in front of them in the middle.
It was a V. Okay, cool.
And that's what a lot of guys trolled 2 flying fish on a knucklehead.
Yep.
It's the same kind of thing.
Using the knucklehead or almost the psychedelic like a teaser with a hook in it.
Yeah. Yep. And you hook a fish and you hoist up the red flag, which you probably saw on your stuff a couple times.
Yep.
And that was to tell her, hey, we're hooked up. Don't come near us.
Come running over our lines.
Yep.
And Pete wasn't supposed to be out there. His dad was pissed.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be out there. Hooked this thing in November at 4:00 in the afternoon and fought it for 4 hours.
Oh, so you didn't get home till midnight.
And that was just a compass and a RDF. Trying to find a way back in, and I was in big trouble. I wasn't supposed to go past the point.
I know. I used to do the same thing in my Sabbath. When I rode my Sabbath out, my mom said, you just cannot go past the jetty. But boy, we'd get behind those bait boats on the jetty and start catching bonita in our little Sabbath.
Yep. Keep going.
We'd hoist the sail to come home, so we'd sail home and row out there in the dark.
Yep.
I think I was 9 years old. Insane.
Yep.
Hey, quick question, Pete, and I'll let you go. But that swordfish at what you said it was 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 6:15. Jimmy Kingsmill was up in the tower,
of course,
down to 425, and we had a back then before the headsets, we had a loud hailer, and it had a receiver on it, but it wasn't turned on yet. And all we heard is him screaming, and then he goes 12 o'clock, and Barry and I look up and we go, "Oh, you're kidding me!" And it's like flat calm at 6:15 in the morning.
So what do you think that fish was doing up at 6?
It was hungry. That's one thing.
Must have ate it. Yep.
He ate it like a marlin. It's just incredible.
That's amazing.
But yeah, I never seen one fit in. I never hooked one that early, and I never seen one fit in that early.
I've never even heard of one fit in that early. Usually,
It's pretty cool. And then the same afternoon we caught a 225 bluefin on a popper on a spinning rod.
Unbelievable.
On the same day.
Just another day in paradise.
Yeah. Boss's son can I throw this? Go ahead, throw it out there. And he walks up the bow late. The breezer's already down. He just threw it out. The breezer, I haven't seen any sign. The breezer was gone. And he fires this thing out there and takes 2 cranks and hanks this thing.
Unbelievable.
So it was a pretty good day of that fish and the swordfish and the tuna.
I think Barry got some footage of that, didn't he?
Yeah.
The doc, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think I remember seeing that swordfish and a bluefin at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, he was with us. He shot a lot of footage on that boat.
Yep, he did. Yeah. He did a really good job too.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Hey guys. Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right.
doing it.
Thank you, Pete.
Michael, keep it up. Thanks, Dave.
You two have a great trip south, Pete.
I will. Thank you.
You say
And we're going to do this again next Tuesday night, Chapter 6, the history of sport fishing. I'll find out who's on that. We'll call them up and probably get them on. Somebody will be on here.
Michael, what is Chapter 6?
That Chapter 6 is the introduction to fly fishing.
Oh, cool. That's a good one.
It's a really good one with Lee Wolf and Joan, and it's really, really.
You should get Gary Graham on there.
He'd be a good guy to have on.
Yeah, because he did all that fly fishing down in Cabo, on the East Cape and stuff.
Yeah, there's a guy named Al Catrucci, LEQ. He's doing a lot of fly fishing along our coast right now. He's just a spectacular, really, really cool guy. So I was thinking of having Al.
Yeah. There you go.
He has really helped form, create a buzz for Southern California saltwater fly fishing.
Yep.
Inshore, off the beach. But those are early fly fishing stuff is great. We got some phenomenal stuff. In fact, it's the oldest known fishing footage in existence.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was, I want to say 1911, and it was the Prime Minister of Great Britain fishing with his wife. And it's the oldest known fishing footage in the world.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. Not a lot of it, but it's pretty cool.
All right, guys. You guys have a great night. Thank you for everything.
Good night. Thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate the support. And Dave, thanks for having me on again, as always.
Yeah, my pleasure.
See you.
All right, good luck, guys. Thanks.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You guys have a great night. Turn off the news. They're all lying. This is the only place you get the truth.